What's the biggest assumption people make about psychics and psychism that's wrong? Good afternoon, this is Lucky Lynx. So I think I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time, and I think that one of the biggest mistakes that people make in psychism and in doing readings and such like that is trying to turn this all into a religion. Whenever it gets to be religious, there gets to be a problem. For one thing, the people in the religions try to attack this as if it's a religion in itself, and it's not. It's simply a skill. Either you can or you can't do it, or you're on the way to learning how to do it, okay? That's first. Second, I think that people who then themselves approach this as though it's a religion, like they are the mouthpiece of infallibility, it becomes dangerous. Because you can be a psychic and very easily make a mistake. And you can be a psychic and very easily misread what you're feeling. And those of you who've had this experience, I will tell you, no matter how intuitive you are, the minute you fall in love with someone and you first meet them and there's all that rush of lust and rush of infatuation, intuition goes right out the door, you know. And then I see people going, "Hey, I can't read myself. I'm totally into this person," and that there's a reason for that. Because there are human emotions we have that constantly interfere with our intuition. How many times have we heard someone say, "Hey, you know, I had this feeling all along. I shouldn't have gone in the car with the person. I shouldn't have gone down that road with that person." And they didn't listen. I knew that this, you know, I've had people say, "Hey, I knew when I married this person that I should have run at the altar, but I didn't." And then later they regretted it. How quickly and how easily can this go wrong? Well, I'm gonna throw 3 cards and show you right here. So we got this one is the 7 of Wands, okay, and we got the Mummy there, right? Okay, so now the 7 of Wands can traditionally mean standing your ground, but this is a very interesting deck, and this one reads very differently. And I think this one sometimes means ancient treasure. It also means that you could have bound yourself up in your own emotional state. How's that? This one is the Leprechaun, right? So, King of Coins. So it can mean an individual who is well off or an established businessman. It can also mean it could also mean someone who lets their lives be ruled by money. But in this particular case, with the Leprechaun, we have all that lore in there. Okay, so it could mean that someone's hiding their true wealth. It could mean that something in the archetypal image of the leprechaun stands out. Could actually mean, in this particular case, a little person. Okay? And then we got the Golem, which is the 6 of Wands, and the 6 of Wands traditionally stands for victory. But how do we get victory out of this? Well, I like to look at this one as though he's successfully created the Golem and animated it and brought it to life. Or it could mean that someone's being overpowered, or it could mean that there is no life in what is going on here. These are just a few of the meanings that come to mind when I look at this. So how do we get the actual meaning of the situation? Well, that's where the psychic stuff comes in. That's where, and those of you who are my students, you know the tricks that I've taught you on how to make sure that you catch what it is that the meaning that's coming through, right? But there are those out there who like to believe that because it's from the cards or from the stars or whatever, that it's infallible, that you can't make a mistake. Well, you could be in a situation where you're actually not feeling, you're feeling worried and stressed about money. Then this combination comes up, and you say, "Oh, okay, well, I dropped it there. Oh, well, it's going to be a victory." And maybe, or maybe what the cards are trying to tell you is that you're animating too much in your life, or the worry about money is binding you and making your life lifeless. But because you're in an emotional state, because you got bills coming, all you can see is the fact that, oh, good, money's coming in. And then when it doesn't, they go, well, wait, I don't understand. Why did the card said the money was coming in? Well, because they were trying to tell you that this incessant obsession, which may be ancient, which may be generations, it may have come down from your family, is actually taking the joy out of your life or the spirit out of your life. The golem. So there's a lot of ways that this could go wrong if a person's mood leads them one way or another. And I have seen over the years, a lot of years, a situation where a person sits down with a client, and because the client is dealing with something that they're dealing with, they advise the client poorly because they have a blind spot for that particular subject. They're giving relationship advice when their partner is cheating on them, and they are telling them to stick it out because they themselves are afraid of leaving a relationship, for example. So they could be having the actual psychic flash. They could very much have psychic ability. They could very much be intuitive. But because this favors some prejudice and or blind spot they've got or a sore spot they've got, they read it the way they want to read it, not the way the actual oracle is telling them. And there's some things you've got to do to be able to like clue into what the oracle itself is telling you. There's another thing that happens too, is that there's there's drivers. There's 16 drivers that motivate people. And depending upon which drivers rule that particular psychic's life, because we don't all value those same 16 drivers. We each value some combination of them. Well, I'll see someone who's maybe very focused on family tell someone who's trying to get career advice that they need to focus on family. Well, is that really what the person who was ambitious and wanted to like kind of break away? They didn't want a family? Oh no, you need to have a family. Why? Because it's their values? This happens a lot. So I'm bringing this subject up because the whole idea that once it gets into the area of religion, well, I'm the mouthpiece of spirit, therefore I'm infallible. When someone says that, they're actually grabbing the high ground and they're using it to gain authority instead of going, well, I don't really care. This is what the oracle's saying. Okay? Churches do this. The priest becomes infallible. The next thing you know, they're abusing people, they're molesting people, they're taking money from people for giving nothing. The minute religion comes into this, and the minute emotion comes into this, it becomes a little tricky. If the religion does not have processes to help a person detach from emotion and become one who can see clearly, well, then it's tricky. If a person reads from a place of emotion and their feelings, it's likely to become unreliable, because how many times in your life have your feelings about something been unreliable? This is why usually I don't get involved in political discussions with people, because the minute they go to their emotions about a political thing, it goes all out the window. Or in some cases their children, or in some cases their relationships. It becomes tricky. You have to be very careful, because you can see that emotions could skew something. There was a woman that I worked with a long time ago. She had a psychic fair, and she told everyone the same thing. You're dating an older man. He's threatened by the fact that you're younger, and that he sees you so beautiful, and he's so threatened because he's older. And this is what she believed was going on in her life, and what she was telling everyone, no matter who they were. She was telling them all the same thing. She's like, well, I don't need cards. I just tune into the cosmos. Well, she was living a fantasy. In actuality, she was, yes, dating a man who was a little bit older, not much. And she was actually kind of stealing money from him. She was taking his money. And he found out about it. And he found out that she was kind of using him. And he got pretty angry. So she concocted this story that he was threatened by the fact that she was so much younger and so much more beautiful, and the guy actually had a lot going for himself, and he didn't want to be engaged in this. And she started trying to put money aside so that she would have her security, because she saw that he might be leaving her. This fantasy she concocted, she started telling everyone she saw in a relationship. And there were a couple of people who were like, what are you talking about? That's not the case I'm in. I don't have that kind of relationship. I don't know what you're talking about. But she wouldn't hear it. So keep this in mind when you do readings. If you go to someone who's doing readings, if you get readings yourself, keep in mind that it is a natural ability. It is ability that you can hone. It is the ability you can sharpen. You have to get out of the way to be able to do it. And you have to be able to look at the oracle and not really care about what the outcome is. If you can do that, you can get better and better and better and better and stronger and be a stronger reader for it. But when people start to argue with each other about who's right in the oracle, I go, hey, the oracle has spoken. We'll see how it plays out. And that's it. To become attached to the outcome or your emotions or your feeling about what you've read is something that's actually going to inhibit your abilities and take your abilities down. Here's another thought too. Sometimes, and we do this in our group, our Tibetan Bond students, there have been situations where we've all read a situation and a bunch of us have read because each of us was getting a different aspect and we all concurred. And we looked to see that we were all concurring. It's a very interesting process and a very interesting practice. So I hope this makes some sense, and I hope this illuminates the whole idea of psychism and is a psychic infallible. Those people who walk up to people on the streets and they start going, well, blah, 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 I'm decided that I have to read you right now because your dead grandpa is choking me and I always... This stuff's usually emotional, and it's usually a lot of times looking for attention or looking to be the focus of attention. Usually when someone is psychic and they are overwhelmed by other people's stuff, they work very hard to be able to manage that and to control that so that they're not running around just blurting out stuff to people. The second thing is, others of us who are psychic, we don't run around telling everyone everything because we don't tune into everything and everyone, because there's it's like a lot of noise out there, and there's a lot of people's noise going on all day, and you don't want to take that stuff in because they're dealing with, in a lot of cases, a lot of garbage, and you don't want to be bringing that stuff in. So some of us develop abilities where we can actually filter that out. We don't deal with it all day long. But in the other case, where you get emotion or your emotions can sway, very much sway the accuracy, the outcome, and the whole picture of what's going on. I am Lucky Lynx, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. If you would like to take a class on how to read the tarot, I've got one in basic, I've got one in advanced, intermediate to advanced actually. I've got one in Lenormand basic, one in Lenormand Grand Tableau. I've got one on how to read the Mexican Loteria, how to read playing cards, and how to read crystal ball. If you'd like to take any of those classes, contact me 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com. Also, if you would like to get a reading from me, same thing, 779-302-8009, conjurehope@gmail.com. I also have a method. I'm looking for the little, I have an illustrator, but that's okay. I'll do it next video. If you are interested in getting kill core work done, where I draw up a map of your life, use Tibetan processes and the 5 colors and the 5 elements. We look at what's going on in your life, and then I can actually put things in or take things out of it to make changes in your life. If you'd like to do that process, be happy to do so. Contact me same way. Hey, those of you who have donated, thank you very much for donating. I really appreciate it. And if you like these videos and you want to donate to help keep them coming, well then, I'm going to put my PayPal, my Venmo below. Remember, the less detached in the outcome, the less you can really care about the outcome you can be. The stronger your reading is going to be, the stronger you can hear the oracle, the stronger you can see the oracle. As for the actual psychic ability where you actually pull stuff off other people, that's another thing entirely. And some people can do that, some people can't do that. But remember, the more emotional you are, the more you expect an outcome, the more you don't want to hear something, the more that information is just too much for you to handle, the more likely you're to miss what the oracle is actually saying to you.